If you're starting a vegetable garden, you need to know the benefits of mixing different vegetables together. It's also known as companion planting. If you want your garden to thrive, you don't want to miss out on this. Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. While we're working to get our lawns ready for spring right now, as we're moving into the warmer weather, we have to stay ahead of the curve with our vegetable gardens too. You don't want to miss out on the opportunity to get everything ready early so you have a great garden all season long. And because having a plan is so important, and this time of year is a time to really start thinking about what we want to grow, I want to talk about what companion planting is. And so in today's video with companion planting, I'm going to explain what it is, why you should consider doing it, and what are some examples of plants you can mix together in your garden. Now, if you check down in the description, I dropped some timestamps, so feel free to move around the video to the information that you need, but I encourage you to watch all the way to the end so you don't miss out on anything. Okay, so let's get started. What is companion planting? Companion planting is simply planting different plants together. The fact is, with certain plants, there's complementary characteristics that benefit them both. Anything from nutrients to growth patterns to even pest deterrents. By planting different plants together, you can utilize the benefits of each so you can maximize your garden. And companion planting isn't something new. It's actually been done for thousands of years. We can even look at some of our historical agricultural societies and see it be used successfully. In fact, the Native Americans have one of the best examples in the Three Sisters example. They would grow maize, beans, and squash all together in the same spot. The maize grows tall and has a very strong stalk. The beans planted at the bottom of that stalk would then use it to vine, and then by planting squash around the bottom of the beans and maize would provide ground cover to help hold in moisture and deter pests. Now, knowing a basic understanding of what companion planting is and showing that one example of the Three Sisters story with the Native Americans, let's look at some of the other examples of companion planting and the benefits you should consider in your garden. The first benefit I want to talk about is weed suppression. The fact is, if you have less space for weeds to grow, it'll give you less chance of having weed issues in your garden. Think about our lawns for a moment. We talk about this on my other videos as well. The thicker and healthier your lawn is, the less likely you are to have a weed problem. And your gardens, like the planter beds here behind me that soon will be full of vegetables, are no different. If you only plant a few plants, like 3 or 4 tomatoes, maybe some peppers, maybe some cucumbers, and that's about it, it's going to leave a lot of exposed soil. But if you companion plant by planting tomatoes and herbs and garlic and onions and cucumbers and peas and flowers and a few other things, it's going to create a very crowded space. All the plants are working to benefit each other, and it's leaving out any space that weeds would then take root. The second benefit I want to talk about is attracting beneficial insects and deterring the harmful ones. But one example I want to use in this section is garlic. Garlic is not just for deterring vampires, but it's also a really good deterrent for a lot of critters that love to get in your garden and eat the vegetables. There are many herbs and plants that give off pest deterring properties, so use this to your benefit in the garden to help keep pests away. Additionally, we want to have flowering plants in our garden as well, outside of the flowers that our vegetable plants have, because these flowering plants will attract beneficial insects, or pollinators. And the third example I want to talk about is improving soil health and providing shade. Plants like peas and beans are really good at helping with nitrogen availability in the soil, so when you plant them with other crops that really require a lot of nitrogen through the season, it will help those plants do well as they grow. As far as shade's concerned, our taller plants are really beneficial in the garden at providing midday to afternoon shade for some of our lower growing plants that don't like that intense afternoon sun. The example I like to use is our tomatoes and lettuce. So tomatoes grow pretty tall and they like the sun. Lettuce likes morning sun, but not so much the afternoon sun. If you plant the plants strategically together, you're going to allow the lettuce to get the morning sun, and then as the day goes on and you get to the afternoon, the way the shadows cast, the tomato plant will provide some shade and protection for the lettuce so it doesn't get overstressed from the heat. So just briefly going over some of the benefits of companion planting, you can see there's a lot of value in companion planting in your garden. Mixing up your garden beds and your vegetables provides benefits to all the plants involved, so consider doing it in your garden. Now, before we get to the examples, if you are going to be growing your own food in a garden this year, smash that like button and drop a comment down below. What is your favorite vegetable plant to grow? Okay, for the examples I'm going to use, I'm going to go over 5 popular home garden vegetable types and then talk about a few companions for each one to get an idea of what you can add to your garden to start companion planting this season. Number 1 is tomatoes. With tomatoes, you can grow basil. As an herb, it goes really well with tomatoes. It deters pests, but it also helps improve the taste of the tomatoes. In addition, you can also add garlic, onions, and even add other nightshades like peppers to the garden around tomatoes as well, and it will all do great. You can actually grow pasta sauce in your garden, harvest it, and make it in your kitchen. Number 2 are our summer squashes, things like zucchini. Now, squashes like this are not self-pollinating, so as companions are concerned, we want to have things that have flowers to help attract bees and other pollinators. I would say use oregano or nasturtiums as flowering plants to attract pollinators to help get the squash pollinated. Number 3 on the list are our pepper plants, both sweet and hot varieties. Now with peppers, you want to do what you can to deter pests naturally, and to do so, use a lot of herbs around the pepper plants. Things like basil, oregano, or marjoram are great additions as companion plants to your pepper garden. Number 4 are our cucumbers. Now, like with the other examples for cucumbers, think of many herbs that you like to plant around them for pest deterrence. But also with cucumbers, plant beans around them too. Beans help with nitrogen availability in the soil, and cucumbers love and need a lot of nitrogen. Also with cucumbers, if you think back to the Three Sisters example with the Native Americans with the maize, the beans, and the squash, with cucumbers, consider planting sunflowers near them and use those as a vining option for the cucumber vines. Now, number 5 on our list are beans. Now, beans, like the rest, need herbs around to help deter pests, but one herb I haven't talked about yet that works really well with beans is rosemary. Rosemary does great helping to deter pests around beans. But in addition to pest deterrents, think of some low ground cover plants, your squashes, or even fruit like strawberries to help keep moisture in and shade out the area where the roots are in the ground to help protect the bottom of the bean plants. There are so many more examples of companion planting that I did not talk about on today's video in the interest of time and to keep it simple. If there was a vegetable that I did not discuss today, please go out and do some research. I guarantee you will find some companion options to ensure you're getting the most out of the space in your garden and that the complementary characteristics of those plants benefit one another. Hey, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to my channel. I have many more gardening videos coming out this season. Topics like getting your raised beds ready for planting and planning plant locations in your garden, which ties directly into the companion planting we discussed today. Follow along all season long for more how-to tips for your garden. And by the way, speaking of starting a garden, have you gotten your seeds started yet? We're in the time now where you need to be thinking about getting your seeds started indoors, so when that last frost date passes, you're ready to go to bring things outdoors and get your garden going. The tomatoes and peppers you see on the screen now, I started a month ago indoors, and they're doing great. I recently just potted them up so they have more space to grow before I get them outside in about 4 weeks. If you haven't started yet, the video on the screen now is going to show you how I got those tomatoes and peppers started and how you can get started easily too. And I'll see you on the next video.